a warm start because I did check my balance. The deck was off a little bit because I don't have the fans and the heat dissipator on the back of this Pro. And I also put some tape. I marked the tape on the upper dovetail. When I balance, I always use this scope mostly, slide it back and forth for balancing. So I marked the front of this according to the weight on here, the front of this adapter, and then I put on the other focal reducer and everything, and I marked the rear of the adapter. This way, when I change cameras tonight, I don't need to loosen the clutches and rebalance and lose my alignment. All I'll do is I'll put my hand controller into terrestrial mode and then change the camera and just slide this top 1 TMB. It only needs to be slidden about a 1/4 inch back only, because what's going to happen is I got the 2-inch Ritchie Christian reducer inside here. I'm going to have to take that out, and I'm going to have to take this camera out, and I have the other camera. Because of the dampness, I'm all ready to go. Right here, look what's on there, MFR 7. So I want to try the MFR 7 on this Pro. This Pro is the standard chip, so I'm using a little bit faster focal ratio with the EX chip. And then I'm going to put this one with the MFR 7, which is a touch slower. And then I made sure I tightened the inner one more so I can loosen this, and then I can try later a 5mm spacer in between the elements. This is a 3-section on the MFR 7. It's got the MFR 6 here, the original, I think it's the same length, but the lens is halfway in. It's a lot further in than the MFR 5. And then hang on a sec, Matt, and then this top piece holds the lens in. It's a hollow, so it's almost like in the front, it's almost like a dew shield on it. So I'm excited to try that. You know, we'll see how it goes. I took this off. I don't know if you can see that, but let's see. There it is. For people who have the Pro or the wireless and they don't have a heat, they don't need to use a heat dissipator. I just took a 1/4 20 tripod bolt, cut off with the hacksaw the end, and then took my handpiece, smoothed it, and thread this in. So this will go on to the tripod adapter of the camera. But you can't use it with this, unfortunately, with my Extreme, because somebody was saying that I could rotate this, but I can't rotate this because if I rotate, because the tripod's on top here, on the top and bottom, I can't rotate it this way because I'm going to cover up the port here where it plugs in. So I'll just have to use some Velcro and stick it on there. That's if I decide to get a wireless hand controller for my Extreme. I like the computer, controlling the camera with the computer, but it's always good to have a wireless in case you're away from the computer. I do have a Spico monitor, and I do have from my VSS Plus. When I sold the VSS, the person didn't want the wired keypad, so I kept it, and Rock says I can use that with my Extreme. So I can control the camera menu by using the wired keypad and a wireless remote for timer. So perhaps I'll get that down the road. We'll see. But I'm mostly at my observatory. I go to the odd star party, and not too often. But now that my son is getting a little older, Matthew, he's going to come to Foymount, right, Matt? Yeah, he's going to come to Foymount. He'll be 10 years old in March. So it will be the 10th anniversary of Foymount next year. So we're planning on going. Pardon me? No, not yet, because you're see the CPU, I mean. Well, it's not high. It's only 25 to 30 range, but no, I don't want to lose that. Can you excuse me for a sec? And I'm in home position here, and I'm going to have to sync on a couple of stars and double check the focus. and we'll go from there. I'll be right back. Okay, so we're going to Alvarez. Hey Alistair, how are you? I'm going to give it another go tonight, Alistair. Conditions are a touch better, but still very humid out, wet out here. Speaking of that, I better put on... Okay, hang on a sec. I got to take the mic off. I got to take the scope cover off and do the Lumicon Deep Skies on tonight. Yeah. Hey Tom. Yeah, because I figured there's a little bit more moon out, so I'll use the Lumicon. It's a little bit stronger than the ITIS. And I'm going to take the scope cover off and put the dew heater on. Okay, it says Mallincam's connected, but there's no star yet. Oh, that's because I got to align. Okay, so I'm just gonna change this. You're not able to see this yet. I'm gonna open my settings and go into it, and load the camera setting. We're going to use AGC 3 again. So I'll go into starting up, and we're going to use AGC 3. Okay, so we'll just wait for the 3-minute countdown. Somebody says that you don't have to wait for the 3 minutes, but I think you still do, because we are dealing with automatic gain, AGC, automatic gain control, and I think it's better to wait because I can see the stars coming in view stronger and stronger as time goes on. So I think it's a good idea to wait that 3 minutes. Oh, we got a good audience tonight. Let me catch up here. Wouldn't mind if you throw some guiding tips too. Yeah, I'll try and get onto that later, Doug. Some guiding. We're going to be guiding using the TMB with the Orion Starshoot. Door in Illinois. Welcome, first time here. Welcome aboard. Hello, Hemi. How are you? Hey, Baz. It's been a while since I've seen you. How are you doing? Al, yes, I'm going to use Milo Slick. I'll go over the issues last night. We had some issues. Unfortunately, Milo Slick and Mallincam controlled Junior Pro, the software Stefan did for the Junior Pro. They don't keep track of the time. They don't have any idea of what time they're on. So we are not able to use the stacking feature in Milo Slick, or we cannot automatically save images, multiple images using both programs. I think I can use the snapshot and capture them manually, or I'll use Screenshot Pilot, just so we can see the difference between a stacked image and a single image. But all other features work in Milo Slick, such as the amp glow mask, the amp glow filter, the histogram, everything pretty well except the exposure. You have to use the wireless controller, and obviously the cooler. There is no cooler, Peltier cooler in it. So we'll see what happens with Milo Slick, because I really, Al, would prefer to use Milo Slick and capture the image, because I can use the amp glow mask. Especially with this camera, it's got the EXView HAD chip in, so there's going to be much more amp glow. I didn't use the I didn't take any darks or anything. I'm not going to bother with that. I find it just doesn't remove the hot pixels properly, hot and warm. It only removed a few, and it left a little bit of dark areas, black specks. I find that it works a bit better with the cooler, with the camera with the cooler, but even with the cooler it doesn't work 100% still. So that needs more work. I think Bill has to work on that a little bit more. So we won't bother with the dark, you know, the hot pixel. Maybe I'll try and remove physically, manually, I mean, some of the bright pixels, and I'll show you how to do that. Okay, so the 3 minute has finished, so I'm going to switch over. Now I'm going to be watching this a lot, so I might miss some questions. So if it's something real important you need answering, just send it again, okay, and I'll try and catch it. Now visualize this. I'm going to have to keep my eye. I'm going to Google a stopwatch. Let's see if I can. Anybody know where I can get a stopwatch? You know, where you can pull it up on your screen and it just shows a timer, and I can use that instead of looking at my hand wireless controller. Anybody have a link to where I can download a stopwatch, please? Upper right corner of your screen is counting up. Not too sure where that is. Ice cream. I'm not too sure what that is, Dan. Oh, really? Is there a clock? You mean on the NSN screen? Okay, there. Thanks, Norm. I want to get a little stopwatch where I can pull it up and I can look at that. Problem is this wireless hand controller, guys. It's the numbers are in black with a gray background, and I got to constantly hit the backlight, and it only stays on for 5 seconds. I wish that these numbers were in LED red. I think it would be much better if it was in LED red. Maybe it's for battery consumption, I don't know. But it's so hard to see the countdown because I have to, if I'm going to stack later using Deep Sky Stacker Live, I got to manually capture the images with the Pro. And I got to keep my eye on the next refresh. Because I'm guiding, you won't be able to see the changes on the screen. So I got to see the countdown timer, and it's going to be a pain in the butt. Look, keep pressing the backlight, everything. So I can sync it with a stopwatch on the computer. And let me check this one out, Norm. Let's see where that one is. Stopwatch up. Okay, that's, yeah, that won't do it. That's okay, thanks anyways, that won't do it. I was hoping I could download a little program that will open up a little stopwatch, because this is going to be so bright, the screen here. But thanks, Norm, I appreciate that. You know what I mean? Just download a little program that has a little stopwatch, and then I can open it up, and it will be taking up a little section of my screen so I can watch it. I don't know if anybody knows a link to something like that, a little timer. No, I'm on, Michael, I'm on just the PC outside here. But anyways, we won't waste time with that. I'll just have to keep watching the wireless remote then. Anyways, I'm going to change cameras here. I'm going to get off this Microsoft one for the observatory, and I'll put it on Milo Slick. So let me just change the resolution first to standard. Right now I'm at 1280 by 720 HD TV. So I'm going to put it at 640 by 480. So you're going to see a change in resolution right now. And let's change the screen. Let me open up Webcam Max. Thank you, Pat. I'll check that one out. All other parameters in the Pro controllable. Yep, everything, even AGC. That's correct, Al.